From the first day I met Emeka, I felt like I had found my missing piece. He was kind, gentle, and always made me laugh. We met at my cousin's wedding, and by the end of that night, he asked for my number. At first, I was shy, but he kept calling, texting, and showing up with small surprises that melted my heart. Within 6 months, he proposed. I was over the moon. My parents were happy. My friends were excited. But there was one person who didn't smile. Emeka's mother. The first time I met her, she looked at me like I had stolen something from her. She didn't hug me, didn't even shake my hand. She just stared, then said, "So you're the girl?" I laughed, thinking it was a joke. But her face stayed serious. She never said she was happy for us. Not even once. Still, Emeka assured me, "Don't worry, she's just like that with everyone." I believed him. I had no idea that this woman was going to change my life in the worst way. My wedding was coming, and I was about to walk into something I couldn't escape. 2 weeks before the wedding, I had a strange dream. In the dream, I was standing at the altar in my white dress, smiling. Emeka was beside me, holding my hand. Everything looked beautiful: roses, candles, music. But just as the pastor said, "You may now kiss the bride," the lights went off. Suddenly, I was alone. The guests disappeared. The hall turned cold and dark. I looked around, confused. Then I saw her, Emeka's mother, wearing black, standing in the shadows. Her eyes were red. She pointed at me and whispered, "You will regret this." I woke up shaking, sweating, my heart beating fast. That morning, I told my best friend Kemi about the dream. She laughed and said it was just wedding stress. "You're nervous, that's all. You watch too many Nollywood films," she teased. Even Emeka said the same thing, but I couldn't shake off the feeling. Later that day, I visited Emeka's family house. His mother barely looked at me. When I greeted her, she said, "I hope you are ready. Marriage is not for little girls." I forced a smile, but inside I felt cold. Something wasn't right. If only I had listened to that dream, maybe I would have run. The day of the traditional marriage introduction came. My family dressed in our finest clothes and brought all the items on the bride price list. The elders from Emeka's side didn't smile. Even Emeka's father, who was said to be a kind man, barely said a word. But the one who carried the whole show was Emeka's mother. She walked around with power, giving orders like a queen. When she spoke, everyone listened. She looked at my parents with a proud face, like they were below her. During the introduction, she interrupted the spokesman from our side. "I hope this girl knows how to take care of a man," she said loudly. My father tried to laugh it off, but I felt ashamed. My mother squeezed my hand tightly, whispering, "Ignore her." After the ceremony, Emeka came to me and said, "I'm sorry, I'll talk to her." But I was already wondering what kind of woman makes her son's marriage feel like a punishment. I should have known then that this was not just pride. It was the beginning of something darker. 1 week before the wedding, Emeka's mother came to our house unexpectedly. She came alone, wearing a red wrapper and black blouse. Her face was calm, but her eyes carried something cold. She handed my mother a small wooden box and said, "This is for your daughter. It's a family blessing from our side. All brides must receive it before the wedding." I looked at the box. It was carved with strange patterns and tied with a red ribbon. It didn't look like anything I had seen before. My mother hesitated but took it with a smile. "Thank you, ma." That night, after she left, my mom placed the box on the table. We opened it together. Inside was a small black clay pot with dried leaves and white chalk tied around it. I pulled back in fear. "What is this?" My mother stared at it silently, then quickly closed the box. "Don't touch it again," she said. She called a pastor friend that night. When he came, he refused to even touch the box. "This is not a blessing," he said. "This is spiritual poison." He prayed over me and told my mother to throw the box away. The next morning, the box was gone from our house. We didn't know how. My mother looked at me with tears in her eyes. "This marriage, are you sure you still want it?" But I loved Emeka. I believed he had nothing to do with it. I said yes, and that was the biggest mistake of my life. The wedding day arrived. My white gown fit perfectly. My makeup was flawless. My heart beat fast, but I told myself it was normal. Everyone was smiling except her. As I walked down the aisle with my father, I saw Emeka standing at the altar, handsome in his suit. But right behind him in the front row was his mother. She was dressed in all black, not gold, not blue, not any wedding color, just deep black. Some guests whispered, "Is she mourning?" But she didn't care. Her eyes were fixed on me, and not with love, with something else, something evil. The moment Emeka said, "I do," she turned her face away. When it was my turn, my voice broke. I tried again. "I do." As the pastor prayed for us, I felt dizzy. My legs trembled, my eyes blurred. It was like something heavy had been placed on my shoulders. After the ceremony, everyone danced, ate, and celebrated, but I felt nothing. My joy had disappeared. And when I looked at Emeka's mother, she smiled at me for the first time. It wasn't a kind smile. It was the smile of someone who had won. That night, when we got to the hotel room, I started crying for no reason. Emeka held me. "Are you okay?" I shook my head. "I don't know what's happening." I didn't know I had just been tied. Spiritually, emotionally, mentally. The curse had begun. The first week of our marriage was like living in a strange dream. Emeka started changing. He became quiet, cold. He barely touched me, barely spoke, and when he did, it was short and sharp. At first, I thought it was just stress. But then, on the 7th day, we had our first big fight. It started with something small. I forgot to warm his soup. He came home from work, hungry. I was tired too, but I quickly rushed to the kitchen. "I'm sorry, give me 10 minutes," I said. Instead of waiting, Emeka shouted, "So now I have to beg for food in my own house?" I froze. He had never spoken to me like that, not even once while we dated. I said, "I'm sorry," I whispered. He walked away, entered the bedroom, and slammed the door. I stood in the kitchen shaking. Was this the same man who once wrote me love notes and kissed my forehead every night? Later that evening, I tried to talk to him. "Emeka, what's going on?" He looked at me and said, "Maybe this marriage was a mistake." That night, I cried myself to sleep. In my dream, I saw his mother again. She was laughing and dancing in the same black dress. And when I woke up, I saw something terrifying. A trail of white chalk around our bed. I screamed and jumped out of bed. The white chalk was drawn in a perfect circle around where I had been sleeping. Emeka was still asleep, as if nothing had happened. I shook him hard. "Emeka, look!" He opened his eyes slowly and stared at the chalk. His face turned pale. "Who did this?" I asked. He stood up slowly, silent, as if he couldn't speak. I picked my phone and called my pastor. When he arrived, he stepped into the room and froze. He knelt beside the chalk, prayed in tongues, then looked at us. "This is not ordinary," he said. "This is a spiritual attack, and it's coming from someone close." My heart dropped. I already knew who. Later that day, Emeka's mother called. "How's married life?" she asked, with a fake smile in her voice. I wanted to say everything, but I held myself. The pastor told me to pray and fast for 3 days. I obeyed. On the second night, I had a dream again. This time, I was in a dark forest, running. Behind me, I heard a woman's voice singing an old Igbo song, the same song Emeka's mother sang during our traditional wedding. And then I saw her face in the trees. I woke up gasping for breath. After that night, I begged Emeka to open up to me. "Please," I said. "Something is happening. I need the truth." He looked away, breathing hard. Then, he said something that broke my heart. "My mother warned me that if I marry you, bad things will happen. She said you were not the one." I couldn't believe it. "And you believed her?" He nodded slowly. "She said she saw it in a vision, that if I marry you, I will lose everything. But we are married already," I cried. "We promised each other." "I know," he whispered. "But since we married, everything has changed. My business is falling. My sleep is full of nightmares. I'm scared." I held his hand. "So am I. But we have to fight this together." He looked at me confused, scared, broken. That night, he finally agreed to pray with me. But somewhere deep inside me, I knew something had already been done. Something that prayer alone might not stop. And the one person who had the key to all this was the woman who called herself my mother-in-law. I needed answers, so I followed my gut. I paid a young man in Emeka's village to watch his mother. Just tell me where she goes, I said. 2 days later, he called. She visited a herbalist in the forest, he whispered. I went there myself. I dressed in a wrapper and scarf, pretending to be someone else. The place was small, dark, and smelled of blood and smoke. I waited until the man came out. His eyes were red, and he had white chalk on his face. I dropped money and said, my husband is under a spell. Can you help me? He smiled. You are not the first wife brought down by a mother-in-law, but you might be the first to survive if you act fast. He gave me a black soap, a small bottle of oil, and a strange warning. You must pour this oil at midnight. But be careful, if your spirit is weak, the attack will turn on you. I was shaking. As I walked out of the shrine, I saw her, Emeka's mother, standing beside a tree, watching me. She didn't speak. She just smiled that same evil smile. I waited for midnight. I locked the doors, turned off all the lights, and stood at the center of the sitting room with a bottle of oil in my hand. I poured a few drops on the floor, just like the herbalist said. At first, nothing happened, but then the house began to shake. The lights flickered, the windows banged shut, and from the corner of the room I heard laughter, soft, female laughter. I screamed, dropped the bottle, and fell to my knees. Suddenly, Emeka rushed in. What's happening? I couldn't answer. I was frozen. My mouth refused to move. Emeka grabbed me and started praying loudly. Then silence. Everything stopped. But from outside the window we heard it, a loud cry. A woman's cry, filled with pain. The next day, we got news. Emeka's mother had fainted in her house that night. She was rushed to the hospital, and she hadn't spoken a word since. We went to see her in the hospital. She lay on the bed, eyes wide open, but not blinking, just staring at the ceiling. The doctor said her body was fine, but her mind was gone. Then the nurse pulled us aside. She kept saying one thing before she went silent. The nurse whispered. What? I asked. She said, tell her I'm sorry. I didn't want to do it. I was forced. Forced? By who? That night, Emeka searched her things at her house. And there, hidden under her bed, he found an old diary. We opened it and read the pages. What we saw shocked us. His mother had visited a native priest 3 months before our wedding. The priest told her that her son's wife would take her power and destroy her name. He gave her instructions to break the marriage or suffer. So she obeyed, out of fear, out of pride. But now, the curse had backfired. The herbalist gave me one last task, a cleansing. He told me and Emeka to go to a river before sunrise, wash our feet and pray for freedom. We went, scared but determined. At the river bank, we stood in silence. The water was cold and the air thick. We poured libation, prayed, and threw away the last item from his mother's shrine, a red string tied to a lock of my hair. As we turned to leave, we saw a strange bird sitting on a tree nearby. It watched us, then flew away, screeching. The herbalist said, it is done. That night we finally slept in peace. No dreams, no voices, no chalk circles, just silence. Weeks passed. Emeka's mother finally spoke again. She asked to see me alone. I was scared but curious. I went to her. She looked weak, like a shadow of herself. No makeup, no pride, just pain. I didn't hate you, she said. I was afraid. The priest lied to me. I sat in silence. She held my hand. I thought I was protecting my son, but I became a slave to darkness. Tears filled her eyes. I'm sorry. I nodded. But forgiveness was not easy. I walked out of the room with a heavy heart. I had survived, but not without scars. 3 months later, I fell sick. I thought it was stress, but the doctor smiled after the test. You're pregnant, he said. I burst into tears. Emeka was speechless. He hugged me for a long time, whispering, thank you for not giving up. His mother sent gifts. She even came to visit quietly and respectfully. She still looked into the distance sometimes, as if haunted by the past. But I had moved forward, not because I forgot, but because I refused to let her cause define my future. The day I gave birth, it rained heavily. But inside the hospital, my heart was full of sunshine. I held my baby girl in my arms, a symbol of new beginnings. I looked at Emeka and smiled. Her name is Chidinma, I said. God is good. We left the hospital as a family, stronger, wiser, free. The curse that began on my wedding day had finally broken. But I learned something important. Sometimes, the people who smile at your wedding are the same people planting evil at your feet. So shine your eyes, trust your spirit, and never ignore a dream that feels like a warning. Because some curses don't come with thunder, they come dressed in lace. 2 months after the baby was born, peace filled our home. Emeka was loving again. Business was growing. Our daughter, Chidima, was healthy and full of joy. But one night, everything changed. Around 2:13 a.m., I woke up to the sound of footsteps. Soft, careful, inside our bedroom. I thought it was Emeka, but when I turned, he was fast asleep beside me. I sat up slowly. Then, I saw it a shadow at the corner of the room. It looked like a woman wearing the same black wrapper Emeka's mother wore on our wedding day. My chest tightened. Who is there? I whispered, holding my baby close. No answer, just silence. Then, suddenly, the shadow disappeared. I screamed. Emeka woke up in panic. I told him what I saw. We searched the house, all doors locked. Nothing broken. I was shaking. The next morning, I called the herbalist again. He came, looked around, and frowned. You didn't finish it, he said. The baby was not protected. You need to seal the bloodline. The curse is trying to continue through her. I broke down. I thought it was over, but the evil wanted my daughter now. I couldn't let the curse touch my baby. The herbalist gave us the final instruction. We must take Chidima to her father's village and perform a spiritual naming ceremony before her first 90 days. If you don't, he warned, the shadow will return not for you, but for her. We packed immediately. When we got to the village, Emeka's mother was already there. She looked weak but peaceful. She knelt before me and the baby. Let me right my wrong, she said. I hesitated, but the herbalist nodded. So we all stood under the big Iroko tree. The elders gathered. The herbalist led prayers and chants. He placed his hand on Chidinma and declared, from today this child is free. No curse shall pass through her blood. At that moment, a strange wind blew through the compound, loud, wild, then silent. And just like that, the heaviness in the air disappeared. Later that night, Emeka's mother called me aside. Thank you, she said, tears in her eyes. You saved my family from a darkness I brought. I looked at her, and for the first time, I believed her. The battle was over, and the victory was mine. If you've watched up to this point, please subscribe to this channel to encourage us to create more heartfelt stories for you.